All right, we're going to get started in just a few minutes here, folks. Just letting everybody filter in. Quite a few people still joining. Loving all the hellos. It's fun to see. All right. Thank you all so much for joining us. We are so excited to have you here. The response to this event has been overwhelming, and we're really grateful that you all made time to show up. My name is Haley Seppa. I work with the CSU Entertainment Alliance, and we are a program that is here to serve all CSU students who are interested in getting their foot in the door of the entertainment industry. We have resources and opportunities like this one, and jobs and internships, and guides to getting jobs, all kinds of things that you can check out on our website. So I'm going to post that link in the chat for everyone to check out. But really, our main event here today is with Lance Dennis and his colleague, Jonathan Rinkinen, and we are so happy to have them here. They are here from Party Planners West, and they're going to talk to you about how to get in on this opportunity with the Super Bowl experience that's happening in February of 2022. So without further ado, I will kick it over to Lance here. Thank you so much for being here, Lance. We're excited to have you and to hear about this opportunity. And same to you, Jonathan, and take it away.
Appreciate you guys giving us the opportunity to present to you today. Once again, my name is Lance Dennis, and I'm with a company called Party Planners West. We're the production companies that builds, constructs, and manages the Super Bowl experience for the National Football League. Get that next slide, Jonathan. A little bit about our company. We've been around a while. We are based in Los Angeles. We've done almost 40 years working with the National Football League, and we've done over 30 years doing the event called the Super Bowl Experience. A little bit about myself, just to get started here, is I graduated from the University of Georgia. I got my master's degree in sport management. And like many of you guys, at the end of my degree, I had to do an internship. And I'll tell you this story just to kind of tell you, you never know where something's going to take you in life. So I had to do an internship, and I did it for what is now known as the Chick-fil-A Bowl. Back then it was called the Peach Bowl in Atlanta. Once I completed my internship requirements, a group came through the town in Atlanta, and it was a company called Party Planners West. And they had an event that they had been working on for the National Football League for a couple of years. They wanted to start trying to get it to grow even more. And they asked me if I might be interested in performing a job as what's called an area manager for them. I took the job as an area manager, worked the Super Bowl Experience. It was about, 5 to 7 day gig back then. Once it ended, I was in the real world. I had to go find a job. I took a job in recreation. And to this day, I still have a job in recreation. I'm the recreation director at a recreation department just about one county south of Atlanta. So I got myself into recreation. But that being said, the summer of my first year in recreation, someone from the Party Planners West office called me and said, "Hey, the person you worked for full time in the office is no longer here. Would you be interested in coming to Miami to help us with this event next year?" So I was like, sure. So I went and did the event in Miami. And long story short, 29 years later, this will be my 29th Super Bowl working for Party Planners West. And my major capacity is dealing with labor and staffing for the event. So if you have never heard of it or are not aware of what the Super Bowl Experience is, basically what it is we create a Disneyland of football for the National Football League. It started a long time ago when the NFL realized that there are 32 cities that have NFL franchises, and probably only about 14 of those cities have the capability of hosting a Super Bowl. So when people would get the Super Bowl awarded to their town the first time, they would be off the charts excited. It would be the greatest thing ever. But then they found that, even though the Super Bowl comes to your city, not many people got tickets to a game or had the opportunity to go. So it kind of became a burden and an inconvenience for them. Their streets got so much traffic on it, their favorite restaurants they couldn't go to, hotel prices were triple. So it kind of became a burden to some of the cities because, hey, they weren't getting to go to the game. So they decided, in order to, as these games came in repeat times to the cities, let's create an event that the whole city can take ownership of. People can come and participate, have a good time. And that's where the idea of the Super Bowl experience was born, and it has continued to grow. I can tell you through my 29 years of doing it, for many of these kids in the communities that get to come out with their families, it is the Super Bowl to them, and they would enjoy it just as much or more than having the ability to go to the game. This kind of tells you a little bit about what I was talking about. Basically, we want to create an atmosphere, a fanfare where we put fans first. Everyone has a great time, and they all feel like they took part in the Super Bowl and its activities that were in this year, being in Los Angeles, in the area, and they had a great time with it. All right, a little bit about what an area manager is. I told you how my path came to being where I do today, and you never know where something's going to lead you in life. But as the director of labor and staffing, it takes us to run one shift of the Super Bowl experience about 525 workers. When I first started with Party Planners West, we used volunteer labor for these workers, and then we hired and paid our area managers. With the volunteer labor, we had about 10,000 volunteers per Super Bowl. That's what it took in order for us to run the events and everyday activities we had. With LA being a fair labor law state, we are in the process of, we use temp staff workers now instead of the volunteers. And that's where you would come in as an area manager, what I'm looking to hire. I need someone to help me manage a large temp staff force that comes to work every day at the Super Bowl experience. Roughly, there'll still be about 500 of those in a shift. As a manager, you would be responsible for, controlling these workers, just knowing that you'll get different ones every day, and we'll be leaning heavily on your management experience and trying to get you management experience. Operational staff breakdown. Basically, we take the whole Super Bowl experience, we divide it into zones, and then we will train you on how to work your individual area or zone. And you'll know each day you will come and you will pick up a group of temp staff workers that will work for you. But the main thing that you have to take in consideration is you'll probably never have the same group any day that you're there working on site. So it's important that we show you and train you on all the safety protocols, all the technology that we're using, and everything as far as when they're supposed to have their shifts, their breaks, so that you can help manage them during the course of the day. It's a little bit easier with the temp staff workers in the fact that we break the day into just 2 shifts, whereas when we used volunteers, it was 4 shifts on some of the busier days, and it was a constant changeover. What qualities are we looking for is, people always ask us that, and there's not any exact, criteria that puts somebody in there where they're going to be one of my great managers. It does not mean, hey, I'm looking for somebody that has a master's degree in event planning and sport management or something like that. But I can tell you the one key component that we need to be successful in this is you have to have an outgoing personality. You have to be able to communicate, and you have to be able to problem solve and lead by example. Basically, this is a role where you're going to be dealing with thousands and thousands of people every day, on top of the 15 to 20 individuals that you're managing each day. So I find people that are really introverted, they may not be the path for success for them with this event, because it is long days, you'll be on your feet a lot, and you will be communicating with a lot of individuals. Some of your general responsibilities, like I went into before, is you'll be managing lunch breaks for your staff. You'll have to manage queue lines. You'll keep your area clean. We'll show you how to work any equipment that you have there, and you'll be performing equipment tests and checks on it to make sure it's working properly. You'll ensure that, just everything's running effectively. And just to give you an idea, this is a large scale event. I mean, we have had at our max on some of those days that we were working a grand total of about 275,000 people attended in Indianapolis when we were there. All right. Other information you'll get, if you get hired, you'll get all this information. many times over, but just to let you know, like we'll provide you with parking there at the convention center. You will be given a uniform that you will wear. Typically it's like an NFL branded polo shirt. You'll definitely wear tennis shoes every day because it's long days and you're on your feet. We'll show you the hours of operation in a minute, but we try to divide the days among our area managers either into an early shift or later shift. So if you do have classes, you can still attend those and still work into the other. We do provide you with some meal vouchers and you do get some breaks during the course of the day. If you guys want to just screenshot, take a picture of this so you can kind of start thinking if it's something you might want to do. These are our Super Bowl experience hours of operation. These are the hours that we're open to the general public. Just know that the working hours, like for say that Saturday, February 5th, the work day would probably go from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. and we would divide that in half. So if you want to look through those hours, take a picture of it. So if you do get pulled for an interview, you'll be able to tell us, hey, I know I'm going to be available during these days and these days. Honestly, when we do the interviews, we look for people with the most availability. If somebody knows that they're going to be gone one of those Friday, Saturday weekends, they're probably not going to be a good fit for us because we're needing to make sure we fill those shifts with people that we have, trained and have proper knowledge of what's going on throughout the facility. All right, we have lots of games and attractions inside the Super Bowl experience. We'll go. My goal here is to give you a visual of some stuff we have so that you'll get an idea of some of the responsibilities you might have to do. What you see on the screen now is the clinic field. We build a replica NFL field for youth clinics. The NFL coaches and the Play 60 movement comes in and we do youth clinics during the course of the day. We also have special events from celebrity flag football games on this field. We will have a multitude of different things, some concerts, a little bit of everything. You might ask, what would I do as a manager of this? Basically, every one of those kids you see in this picture, they all receive that t-shirt that we will distribute with your workers. They all have to do an online waiver and register for the clinics, as we only have about 100 that we can take per hour. So you'll be facilitating and registering them during the course of the event. And you also help work with your people to help keep the field clean, fill the water coolers and something like that. Next picture I have you is just to show you some of our interactive game areas. If you look at the picture where the lady is kicking the field goal, you'll see a couple of individuals in purple shirts to the side and the back. Those are our temp staff workers that were in Minnesota that were working. If you have a game like this, you'll be facilitating, getting the equipment out, making sure the balls are properly inflated, working with your workers to retrieve the balls, to bring them back and forth, doing queue line management and checking to make sure they've done their online registration and pass so that they're able to participate. The one in the middle you see is a touch pass game where they throw balls into a basket. Same thing. So you'll have a large group of workers that you will be managing and working with to help get retrieve balls and stuff so that we can keep the flow going during the course of the day. Another area, some interactive games. We have an obstacle course where we do a full like combine elements where they race through the obstacle course. If working those, you'll be helping, restore the obstacle course because they tend to trip over it more than they step over it. But that being said, there's a lot of stuff that you'll be doing in this area. And a lot of what we do is just kind of crowd control to keep people flowing and having a good time and doing everything they can. Some more individual interactive elements we have. We have a 40-yard dash inside the event. It's always one of the more popular events. And if you're a manager at this one, you'll learn exactly where first aid is because inevitably every time dad will race his son and he'll go about 10 yards and that hamstring will pull. It happens every year over and over and over. So that's just some of your responsibilities you'll be doing there. You'll be helping with the timers and the time clocks, and you will be helping make sure to get the race started, get the people exited so we can start the next one. So another big display we have there is the Vince Lombardi trophy. It's on display during the course of the whole time. Individuals will come up and they will stand in line to have their picture taken with this trophy. To try to give you a magnitude of the event and the size of kind of what you're dealing with, the one where you saw the individuals kicking field goals on the goalposts, I've seen people wait in line 3 hours to kick the ball one time in this event. It's that crowded sometimes. Same thing with this trophy. Individuals will wait in line 2 to 2.5 hours. As a manager, you'll be dealing with the crowd flow. You'll be dealing with what we call our technology managers that we hire. They will be standing at the front of the line with iPads, and they take pictures of the families with the trophy. And then that picture is instantaneously emailed to their email address that they registered with. So that's kind of what you would be doing if you were assigned to the Lombardi Trophy area. We have mock locker rooms built out. The NFL goes to great lengths to try to get one of the better players from every NFL team. And we build an entire locker room so that each team is represented by one of the individual players from the team. About 30 years ago, we had an individual come do body casts of some players, and we thought it'd be cool to dress them with the teams. And so we have one of these mannequins we call Look Like a Pro for each and every one of the 32 teams spread throughout the convention center. I only show you this, you won't have a lot of responsibility with these, but I always tell my managers, make sure you kind of know where some of them are, because the crazy Steeler fan will come up every year wanting to know exactly where his mannequin is. And if you don't have the answer, he's going to bug you to death till you figure it out. So just want to kind of give you an idea of some of what goes on with that. We also, when I went to New York, I guess it's been about 10 years ago, I thought it was the coolest thing in the NFL's offices. When you walk inside, they have glass cases with a magnifying glass that kind of rolls along the cases. And inside the case is all the Super Bowl rings from each and every Super Bowl. So we thought that would be a good idea, and we eventually started bringing it to our Super Bowl experience. And as you can see, it's a similar setup. Individuals can come. We have a little magnifying glass there. They can go around and look at the rings and the stones from every Super Bowl. And it's pretty amazing how the size of some of those rings. We have an autograph stage there. We will run about 3 players through constantly during the course of the day. They will sign free autographs. It's just all dependent upon, they just have to pay the one price for admission. The autographs are free. As a manager, what you would be doing there is primarily line management. It's important that we communicate with the fans that are getting in the lines, let them know kind of where they're at in the line, because each player is only going to sign for an hour and a half. And we don't want to have, a fiasco like we had one time in Arizona where the manager went on break, didn't relay everything to his temp staff workers. And next thing you know, the line for Joe Montana was 5.5 hours long, and he was only signing for an hour and a half. So it's better, the more information we can get out, stay there to work with the individuals. It'll make a better experience for everyone trying to get through that line. Another element we have inside the Super Bowl experience, which I love this one, is we have the Super Bowl NFL draft set. We have built out a replica of the NFL draft with podium. We have an MC on the microphone there, and individuals will come up and they will say, hey, I want to be drafted by the Rams. And so they'll hand the card to our MC and he'll say, with the first pick, the Rams take little Johnny. So he will come up and he will hold his number 1 jersey up, get his picture taken. Once again, that's one of the elements that we have the iPads that will take the pictures for them, and it will be emailed to them during the course of the event. And it's amazing when you do this event, you will see all 32 teams will get used. And it's amazing that they have that many fans with that many different backgrounds that use every one of those jerseys during the course of the week. We also have an area that's dedicated to just kids. We call it our Play 60 zone. We know that, if you've ever been hit with, kicked, or thrown an official NFL football and you have no football experience, those balls hurt. And the kids are not capable of throwing them and kicking them, the smaller kids. So we have this one area totally set up for them. Their goalposts are about 4 feet high. They'll use Nerf balls. They can run through the obstacle courses. If you're really good with kids, a lot of times we'll infiltrate you into this area to work with the children during the event. But they have all the same elements that are outside in the park that the adults can use. We have this area built just for them so they can do it with a smaller ball. Sponsors, Lowe's is our title sponsor. We won't have a lot of responsibility as management working with the sponsors. but just want to give you an idea of some of the magnitude of the things that are inside the event. This next sponsor slide that you'll see is Pizza Hut was a sponsor. A lot of the sponsors come up with their own creative games and activities and stuff. And every now and then we'll facilitate helping them with their just checking their line management and stuff like that. But like this was one Pizza Hut did a few years ago, where in that little logo where it says Pizza Hut, individuals would come up, they would choose a song, they would come out there and they would dance in that little logo. And then it'd be superimposed where it looked like in a video, they were dancing with Juju Smith-Schuster and Antonio Brown when they both played for the Steelers. We have Wilson as one of the sponsors. They actually have a football factory there. They will, if you want to see the process of making a football from scratch, that's where you'll go. They will have the leather, they will press it, they will iron it, they will put the bladder in, they will inflate it, and they will stitch it and monogram it all in front of your eyes right there. And then they sell them too if individuals would like to purchase a ball and have something special monogrammed on it. The fans can purchase it and have it as a special souvenir. We have lots of media on site during the course of the event. The largest one is the NFL Network broadcasts live inside our Super Bowl experience each and every day. We also have an area that we call Radio Row, is our media center, where there will be 200 to 300 individuals tables set up with every local radio station nationwide, foreign entities as well, that will film their shows and do their radio stations live in this one room so that they can run players, coaches and stuff in for appearances and put them on the air. And it's easy for them to go from station to station, all in one large room that we'll have inside the convention center. All right, I've thrown a lot of information at you. A little bit about this event. There's lots of reasons to do it. For me, you know, I do it now. My main goal is just to try to make memories that will last a lifetime for kids and their families in the areas that I go to. You as a student, you know, you may want to do it just to make some extra money to go out at night with. I'm all for that. You know, you may want to do it because you want to shine the light to make the city of Los Angeles look like the best city in the world as far as sports go. I even had a lady in Tampa tell me she did it because she wanted to meet a man. I'm like, well, you'll have a good opportunity. There'll be a lot here. But as students, I would recommend that you take opportunity to do stuff like this and anything you can get just to get this on your resume. And I always tell the students, they ask me, will this help me get a job? I'm not going to lie to you. It will not help you get a job. But what it will do is when you go for an interview, it will give you a chance to talk about something that you're familiar with, because I guarantee you the person interviewing you will ask you about this. And it's much easier to talk about something that you're familiar with, something that you experienced, rather than answering a set of questions that the person that doing the interview has given for every single student that comes through. And a lot of times I found that difference in being able to communicate and talk about something you're familiar with is the difference between getting a job and not. And I have had lots of students that I get phone calls every year during the summer from employers wanting a reference on a student. And the main thing they remembered about those students when they went through their interview process was, this was the one that worked the Super Bowl. So I just would tell you, if it's not this or anything else, to get as much as you can on your resume, sports related, if you want to do anything like that, and it'll make a much easier transition for you from college to the future. We will probably hire about 60 to 70 area managers for these positions. It'll probably be a lot of competition for it. But I think what the plan is, anyone that we can't process through as one of our area managers, we will then filtrate them to our temp staff agencies, which they would get paid for them and still be working with us in the event. And unlike most events that you will see that you'll get asked to do in the sports industry, this is a paid position. The rates have not been set yet. We're thinking they'll be somewhere between 18 to 21 an hour. And so we're hoping that, you know, you guys might show some interest and want to apply. You'll see on the screen the contact information. If you will just send an email to that area managers at ppwinc.com, you will then get a return email sometime in the week that will have a Google Doc, which will go through the process of what you need to fill out for your actual application. Once again, I thank you for letting me present to you today. We'll go through, and if there are any questions, we can try to answer as many as we can. I know Jonathan's been trying to get through everyone in the chat here that had some questions, but feel free, if we have any others, we'll do the best we can.
Well, there are still about 76 open questions in the chat, so I've answered 24 so far. A number of the questions I am currently dismissing because I've already answered them. So if your question got dismissed, please look through the answered questions because the answer is likely already in there. One question that was pretty common that kept coming up, since this presentation is going out to state schools throughout California, area managers are required to provide their own transportation and lodging for the event. So that is definitely something to consider because for each area manager, you'll likely be looking at working about 30 hours for the event, and the prices of hotels and transportation near Los Angeles are quite high. So just make sure that you do factor that in when you are looking to apply for the position. If you don't live in the LA area, that you would have to provide lodging and transportation throughout the event. And with the current pay rate estimates of between that $20 and $22 with 30 hours estimated, you'd be looking at making about between $600 and $650 for the event. So just make sure that you consider that beforehand. So a couple of the other questions in here that we can try to answer about COVID protocols. Those COVID protocols, they will be, we will be following the local and state guidance for everything that is required by local and state governments. There will likely be a requirement to be vaccinated to be able to work or attend the event. So that would be something that hasn't been fully completed on exactly how they're going to enforce that. But if you get hired, you'll likely have to provide proof of vaccination to the payroll company that we hire to actually pay you. So we will have a number of protocols in place, for masks and entry requirements for guests to make it as safe an event as possible. But there obviously is no guarantee that you wouldn't have exposure to COVID while working the event. So there would be language in your contract that would state that as well.
Thank you. Like I say, Jonathan's here with me. He's running the screen to share, so he's not able to show his photo on here as it goes. But if you have any other questions, we'll be happy to try to roll through these, especially and answer some of the ones in the chat as well.
Let's see here.
Lance, real quick, can you talk about if they have to be a student or not to be able to apply for this particular position?
Yeah, there's no requirement that you have to be a student to apply for this position. The reason I usually go through students because I know they have the most to gain from this. I know that they are more than likely going to be available at the time. Sometimes when I deal with people that are non-students, they find jobs before the actual event rolls around, and that becomes a little bit cumbersome for me because, which I didn't even discuss this is considered a level 1 security event. So we will have everyone interviewed, hired. We have to do extensive background checks. It has to go through Homeland Security. They have to start making credentials that you'll have to wear to get into the event each and every day. And I have to have all that completed by November 15th, which is over 2 months before the event actually starts. So that's why a lot of times we've gone with students just because we know they're still in school, they will be available. So, but there is no guidelines that says it has to be a student that applies.
Okay, I'll try to answer a few more of these questions that are coming in. So the next question asks, how long and when is training? We will be having training most likely the Thursday before we open. So that would be February 3rd. That would be an in-person training. It would last about 4 hours. We would have a morning and an afternoon training session. So that's when you would actually need to be in Los Angeles, would be starting February 3rd until the end of the event, which would be February 12th. The training, we will also have a couple of virtual sessions beforehand that will only last about an hour each time. Those would be conducted via Zoom. So the only in-person training would be that February 3rd, most likely date. The next question is, how would we become the workers, as in the people the manager is in charge of? And Lance answered that right beforehand. We'll be sending you information on how you can have or apply for one of the paid staff positions also once the staffing company gets selected for which one we'll be using, which staffing company. Next question says, what is one piece of advice you would give your younger self at your first shift as an area manager? It's a good question. I would think for myself, I think that most likely I would be trying to tell myself to try to take it in and listen as much as possible. We all use radios at the event, and a lot of the information that is shared on that radio is what really helps you succeed well in that position. And then really that's what you use going forward in the week. As long as you're really listening and trying to take it in, I think that you can do a great job with the position. Lance, do you have anything you want to add into that, since you've also been an area manager?
Wear some comfortable shoes, definitely, because you are on your feet for a long period of time, talking, dealing with people. It's not a sit down position. If you're looking for a sit down position, this is probably not the job for you. But if you're looking for a high energy position, this is it.
Okay, next one, will we be allowed to submit letters of recommendation from other event management opportunities we've had? You really don't need to do that for this position. You can, if you want to, you can include those with your resume when you upload it with your application after you send in an email. But you don't need to do that. Most of it will be from your interview that we would do with you. So it's up to you on when you submit that with your application. The next question, are there any specific requirements that need to be met to apply to be a part of it? You do need to be a current US citizen for payroll purposes. We've had in the past where we've had people who do not have eligibility to work in the US, and it's created payroll issues for them. A couple people, they worked and then I don't think they ended up being paid because they weren't actually eligible. So we're only eligible for events like for non-citizens, for events that would be happening on a college campus that the person's working at. So that's really the only true requirement that needs to be met. And then you have to be able to pass your background check. So as Lance was saying, it's a level 1 security event. So you have to pass that background check. We answered what the hourly rate estimate was. You do not get to see the halftime show. This position, you do not get Super Bowl tickets either for working this position. We are at the Los Angeles Convention Center. So you are not going to be at the stadium for this position, and you will not be part of the halftime show.
And one of the questions just came through. It was a good question about interviews. All our interviews will be virtual via Zoom. And just know when you get the time slot to pick and choose one, it's going to be about a 10-minute session. It's not going to be a long, drawn-out interview process. It's just a chance to get us to get to know you a little bit better, so that we can, try to get the 60 or 70 people we feel the most comfortable with working.
Okay. It says when we are not working, will we be allowed to walk around and experience the event? Yes, when you are done with your shift, you can attend the event as a fan, and we encourage people to do that because it really is an awesome event. So we do actually encourage people to do that. We just ask that you take off the uniform that you're wearing and just wear, the same clothing that a normal person would be wearing inside, so that you're not getting grabbed to ask questions or to start working a different area. More so for your enjoyment than anything else, rather than saying that you're not working anymore. Let me see.
All right, we can. Do you have anything else for us, Haley? If not, we can try to follow through some of this as the day goes on the chat.
Yeah, I think just going through the chat right now, I haven't seen anything else that you haven't answered yet from those. So yeah, go for it.
All right, well, thank you very much for having us here. I hope we've answered some of your questions. If you have more, one question was how long will we take applications? Till October the 18th. Someone had asked about admission. Yeah, when you come, you will not be charged admission. So as long as you have your working credential, that will get you in. Trying to think if there's any more.
So, I mean, at this point, I think we could probably end the recording, and we can, for people who want to stay on to try to have their questions answered, we can continue to go through these ones, these additional questions. But there's, that's the end of the presentation. We can just kind of go through some of the questions that are continuing to be asked.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I just want to put out there to everybody also, to remember to check out, we'll be posting more about this on the CSUEA social media and such. So you can follow all of those at the CSUEA and on our site, csuentertainment.com. And yeah, please ask away any questions that you have left while these gentlemen are here and offering it. And, before everybody else jumps off, Lance, thank you so much for doing this. Jonathan, thank you so much for doing this with us. We really deeply appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
All right, and we'll continue to answer questions here